Hey Apprentice Squad, let's make Wonder Woman's Gold Eagle helmet from Wonder Woman 1984. This video is sponsored by Cos-Tools. I've used their tools before and I absolutely love them, and they've been generous enough to sponsor this video. Alright guys, so one of the very first things you need to do whenever you're building anything is find your framework, create your pattern. In this case, I'm creating the pattern for you guys. Hopefully that helps you to be able to get a leg up and be able to create this even faster. But if you're wanting to do it on your own, you can do it the same way I did here. Actually, what I did to get this going, I was actually at my parents' house. We were chatting with my sister and brother-in-law, and Olivia was like, hey, we should get that pattern going, get that helmet going. So while we're chatting, I'm just sitting there covering Olivia's head in tinfoil and then taping masking tape over the top of it while we're just chatting and hanging out with everybody. So then I drew all the designs on there with reference images and take that tin and tape helmet off of her, and then I have to try to 2D-fy it. That's how I call flattening that pattern in a way that you can then transfer onto your EVA foam. What I like to do is I try to hide my seams as best I can off the bat when I'm 2D-fying the pattern. That way, there's not all these seams that I'm having to try to patch or fill or hide later on in the process. An example of that would be right here. This is kind of the front of the eagle helmet here. You can see the beak right there, right? And it has this kind of harsher ridge that runs right along that top side. And then also it has some layers that come across right here where the beak is that you know, connects in. This layer goes over the top. So what I did is I cut right along where that layer is going to be overlapping on the top for the beak, and then I also cut right along that ridge line, because what I can do is I can now cut these two pieces at a slight bevel so that when they get glued together, they have that ridge, kind of that point to it. And then we'll just come in with a Dremel and just barely, you know, kind of just sand that down so it's not so pointy. And that will hide that seam really well because there's already kind of a change in that spot right there. Just kind of think of those type of things when you're creating your pattern. Try to hide your seams early on. I've already done it for you here, but now what I need to do is I need to get a picture of this, bring it into the computer, digitize it and everything, and get it ready for you guys and for me to be able to then cut out, and let's start putting it onto some foam and watch the magic happen. So let's make the rest of the pattern. All right, guys, I got it all digitized and printed out, ready to go. Just gonna cut these things out and get them ready to transfer onto foam. Okay, I got everything traced onto the foam. In my pattern, I have each piece labeled with what thickness of foam it needs to go onto. Here you can see black is 4mm, red is 2mm, and there's a few pieces like this one that I need to, once I have it cut out, I have kind of these under groove cuts that I'm going to be doing. So once I have it cut out, I need to flip that over and actually trace those under groove cuts onto there so that I have that and I can do that before I start gluing things together. Okay, so I've got a ton of cutting to do here, but luckily I have a secret weapon, the Cos-Tools straight cutter and the Cos-Tools V-groove cutter, that are going to help make my life so much easier on this. I'm going to use these, the straight cutter, on all my straight cut edges, especially any seams. Getting those seams perfect 90-degree angle cuts perfectly straight are going to help hide my seams so much better. So super excited for this, and it's a lot less strain on my wrist with all the cutting I need to do. I'm going to use the V-groove cutter to do some of those under groove cuts I was talking about. So with that, let's dive in and let's cut. These Cos-Tools cutters are such a great addition to your cosplay arsenal. I'll put links to them down in the description below. So on this is the top of the helmet. There's some really cool effects that we're gonna get with under groove cuts. These four here, they're symmetrical. They need to be cut. This one at a straight piece cut for the groove, and the other one at an angle that meets down to that straight one. Same thing here. On this side, this will be straight, and this one will come down at an angle. So I can't use the Cos-Tools cutter, groove cutter on these ones, but we can just do that by hand. Let's glue. While I'm doing this, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons over on Patreon, and we encourage you to go check out our Patreon and see if you want to become a patron as well. And we'd love to have you join the team and help us keep making awesome videos like this. All right, guys, so I'm just getting this ready to paint now. I'm super excited to throw the coat down on it. This is the top layer with the kind of eagle head and the feathers on it. It's looking great. One thing I wanted to show you guys is earlier when I used the Cos-Tools straight cutter to get those straight cuts on EVA Foam, the difference it can make on your seam. So right here, there's supposed to be a seam, and it's made practically imperceptible now. You can barely kind of tell that there was a seam there. But it feels completely smooth. Once we paint that and everything out, you won't be able to see that at all. So that's the magic of being able to get this really good straight cuts with using EVA Foam, because what you can do is once you stick those together, you can come back through with a Dremel and just sand gently, just sand along that seam down to where you get rid of any glue that might be sticking up, and you kind of just knock down any edges that you might not have lined up perfectly. To where that's nice and smooth, and then you come through and just hit that quickly with the heat gun, not too long to where the glue pulls apart, but just really quick, and then you can get these really nice clean seams. So there's a little trick for you. Let's get this thing primed and painted. Here we go. All right, so this is the underpiece that goes underneath the main part of the helmet and comes down on the cheek. And I noticed that it has a texture to it, different than the smooth texture on the rest of the helmet. So to do that, what I did is I just took Fine Finish here by Prop Monkey Studios, added that to the parts that would be visible and then a little bit past that. And then I just took one of these little hair comb things and I just ran it in a crisscrossy pattern while it was all still wet, and then just hit it with a hairdryer to dry that up. And it gave this really cool texture. Once we paint that up in gold, that'll give some nice difference between the two pieces. So anyway, there we go. Let's keep going. Hey guys, it's all painted up and it looks amazing. I'll show you the reveal in just a moment, but before I do, I just want to let you know that you can get this pattern for this helmet on our website, link in the description, or if you haven't checked out our Patreon before, Tier 2 patrons and up actually get access to all of the patterns I've ever made and early access to any in the future. So this pattern's already in there, as well as all of our other Wonder Woman patterns as well. So check that out, and without further ado, let's check out this helmet. All right, Apprentice Squad, there you have it. What do you think? I'm super excited about how awesome this turned out. This cool texture here, the awesome undergroove cuts that we used here, and this seam that goes down the middle, nearly imperceptible, thanks to the Cos-Tools cutters. Now they have a whole line of products, including things to cut circles, punch holes, other cutting tools. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go check out their stuff. Anyway, I'm super excited for you guys to make this helmet. Let me know if you go to make this, if you have any questions, how I did anything like that, let me know in the comments below. Once again, the pattern is available on our website, link in the description as well, or on Patreon. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and cosplay on, my friends. See ya. Find my face. Focus.